Well, happy Thursday afternoon. Welcome to 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski and Dan Lucero here with you following a thrilling, exciting walk-off win for the Kansas City Royals. The boys in blue snapped their three-game losing skid. They salvaged one game in their series with the Cleveland Guardians, and it's on to face the Los Angeles Dodgers. But hey, let's talk about the good stuff. Fun win for the Royals today. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. And a cleansing win, too, because, boy, last night sucked. I'm not sure it could have possibly been a worse game than to get 5 hits, have your possible upstart young starter have his worst game as a professional. The bullpen was just dreadful, and you got your butts kicked. But today, walk-off win, thrilling fashion, getting a hit off one of the best closers in Major League Baseball, Emmanuel Clase for Freddie Fermin. Fun way for that game to come to a close. We'll talk about the Royals' win over the Guardians here in just a matter of moments. Also here in this opening hour and a half or so, here at 580 Sports Talk, we've got our What Is Wrong With You semifinals for the month of June, brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. 5 stories this month, so 2 short week winners, 3 other winners. They'll go head-to-head. We'll find our finalists for What Is Wrong With You this month. We will also get to what John Sherman had to say today, the owner of the Royals, the CEO, and a lot of folks are not happy with what John Sherman had to say this morning when he addressed the media about what they're looking for in terms of public funding, how badly he wants to leave Kauffman Stadium. That was pretty apparent. He is aware that the team is bad. That's nice, I guess.
Means he's watching.
Yeah.
Means he's watching the game. He sees what you see.
So that's good, I guess.
How about a little breaking Royals news?
Hit me with it.
Jordan Lyles is sick. He will not pitch for the Royals in his scheduled turn in the rotation tomorrow. Making the turn for the Royals and making his major league debut, Alec Marsh, the pitching prospect who's had a really nice year at a couple levels of the minor leagues. So he will get his chance to take the major league mound for the first time in place of the ailing Jordan Lyles tomorrow. Ann Rogers, MLB.com, just reporting.
All right. Well, good stuff for the Royals then. And Alec Marsh.
I think they're going to have to make a 40-man move. I'm double checking that right now. No, Marsh is on the 40-man.
Okay.
So no, it'll just be they'll call him up, and I don't know who they'll send out. Probably the guy who gave up 7 runs in an inning yesterday would be my guess. Yeah,
that wasn't great. So that's exciting for tomorrow's game. We'll talk about that, of course, coming up on tomorrow's program as well. So we'll get to the John Sherman stuff. We'll get to the Royals win and What Is Wrong With You all this hour. We've got plenty of 580 Sports Talk headlines to get to, including the first perfect game in 11 years last night. Not the easiest guy to root for in Domingo Germán, but it was history nonetheless as the Yankees blew out the A's, the biggest, most lopsided win ever in a perfect game. We'll get to that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And the match tonight, if you want to get a little Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce fix, lucky you will be able to tonight on TNT as Kelce and Mahomes take on Steph and Clay, the Splash Brothers, in the match on TNT. We'll get to all that coming up today. We would love to get to your texts and your comments on YouTube. Let's get your thoughts on anything we're talking about on the show today. YouTube comment section can be found on our channel called Sports on 580 WIBW. And the text line number, you know it, 785-272-9429. This was an important win for the Royals because it gives, it's just nice. Winning baseball is fun. Walk-offs are fun. But it gets the horrendous taste from last night out of your mouth a little bit because, God, that was a disaster. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong last night. Bad start, bad bullpen, offense was completely ineffective, just a disaster of a game. You should never give up 14 runs to this Guardians team. We went through it leading into the opener a couple nights ago, just how bleh their entire offensive output has been all season. A bunch of guys who are just slightly below average in terms of production for the year, and they gave up 14 runs to them. So to come out today to fight back, they were down 2-0 and then scored, what would that be, 4 of the last 5 runs in the ball game. That's pretty exciting. Walk-off extra base hit for Fermin to win the game. That just felt nice. We haven't had a lot of that this season. It just felt nice to win an exciting game and to see some fight. I will credit them. I don't feel like this has been a team that's not trying. I just think that's a team that's not good, because we've seen a number of times this year where they've put up a fight. They just haven't been good enough to get over the hump. This was nice.
Yeah, feel good win. I mean, I guess they all feel good. We've only got 23 of them at the halfway point, but it was impressive to see that they came back the way that they did. They beat one of the best closers in the league, the American League save leader, Emmanuel Clase, there in the 10th inning with Freddie Fermin's 2-run double. They put together a rally. I mean, that's a good Cleveland bullpen, and they put together the rally to score 2 and tie the game in the 8th after showing no signs of offensive life, not just for the first 7 innings today, but for the first for the 18 innings of the series prior to that. And really, you go all the way back to Saturday, the last time we saw a pulse from this offense, because they scored 1 in the loss in Tampa Bay on Sunday, and then 1 in back-to-back losses to the Guardians to open this series up. So see them break the bats out just in time to salvage one from a team that has long had their number in Cleveland was a positive, undeniably. So fun to see the excitement. You like to see the young guys have something to rally around and celebrate a little bit after a win like that.
And the nicest thing about it, even beyond what I've already said, I was fully prepared to rant and rave about how dumb these guys play sometimes. Like, just the lack of baseball IQ. I was, admittedly, and he played very well after this moment, I was ready to go nuclear on Drew Waters. Getting picked off at second base after a double. Samad Taylor comes up showing, but I mean, it just was a terrible sequence. You can't let that happen. You cannot be dumb and bad. You've got to pick one if you're going to be one of them. And the Royals, too many times this season, have been bad in the field. They've been bad on the base paths. Things you need to be able to do well if you want to even be competitive and respectable, which they haven't been for so much of this season. So I'm glad they were able to turn it around. I'm glad Waters picked it up. I'm glad Fermin got the walk-off hit. I'm glad we don't have to talk about just how disappointing this team is. That's nice.
Yeah, Freddie Fermin definitely took a lot of guys off the hook with the walk-off double day. Took Aroldis Chapman off the hook a little bit, because the go-ahead run for the Guardians scored on one of the most exciting and rare plays in baseball, a straight steal of home plate.
Awesome.
By Jose Ramirez. What a great baseball player Jose Ramirez is.
You don't see straight steals of home all that often. There was one in Major League Baseball just the other day, too, I believe, or within the last couple of weeks.
And Jose Ramirez, I mean, he's not slow. Like, he's not like Miguel Cabrera out there, but he's not a speed demon. He's not Bobby Witt Jr. speed either. He just had a read, had the timing, took off, because the way Aroldis Chapman was flinging the baseball today, he could tell making contact was going to be a chore. And the only way they were going to get that run across, try to win the game in that spot, was if he did it himself. And he did it himself.
I love that, honestly.
Yeah, it ruled. It was an extremely exciting play. And even though he was called out on the field, he knew he was safe.
Yeah, and I don't blame I don't even remember who was the ump at home plate today. I don't blame him for calling him out initially, because it looked like, it very well could have been out. Review helped out that time for sure, and he was clearly safe. It was a thrilling play, and I'm glad we got to see the thrilling play, and the Royals still came out on top. So that is awesome. 23 wins through 81 games now for the Kansas City Royals this year.
Smack dab in the middle of the schedule and on pace to go 46-116. And I don't say that to say to put a damper on today's win, because it was a good win. It was a fun win. And no matter how many you win, whether you win 116 or you only win 46, the walk-off wins are the fun ones. Those are the ones you remember. And for Freddie Fermin, a memorable one. Freddie Fermin, quiet as it's kept, swinging a pretty nice bat. And looks like he has really seized that mantle as a credible backup catcher for this Royals team. He's done well. It's not an easy role, but he has seized that role and swung a good bat in that role for the Royals, so that they don't lose a lot of offense, or haven't to this point, when the days come that they need a day off for Salvador Perez behind the plate. But they DH him, or even if they don't, you're not losing as much offensively because of the way that Fermin has produced.
Entering today, 824 OPS, your backup catcher, that is always going to play. Even
there
though
are a lot of teams don't have an 824 OPS from their starting catcher.
Yeah, so no, you'll happily take that if you are the Kansas City Royals. Fun to get a win. We'd love to get your thoughts on the Royals' victory today. Again, 785-272-9429 is the text line number, and our YouTube channel where you can watch the live stream of the show is called Sports on 580 WIBW. Just getting started on this Royals shortened edition of the program today. We'll come on back. We've got our monthly semifinals for What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk.
Dear Daddy, dear Mom.
Semifinal day for What Is Wrong With You in the month of June here on 580 Sports Talk. We've got 5 weekly winners, weeks of varying lengths, for this month, and we will narrow it down to 2 finalists who we will pick from tomorrow in our championship round. I want to remind you before we get started, though, that Top City Metal Supply cuts the metal you need to your specifications, which saves time, money, and material. Never settle when it comes to metal at Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field, your daily sponsor of What Is Wrong With You. Our 2 short week winners will be our play-in game for this month, Dan. That includes the winner from yesterday, Too Pretty to Rob. A woman was robbed, she was mugged essentially, in Indianapolis at 4 a.m. She had gotten home, late shift, just walked outside to get her mail, and a guy pulled up with a gun and said, give me your money. So she gives him $100 that she made in tips that night. And then he says, you know what? I'll pay you back. I'll hit you back. Just add me on Facebook first. Give me your cash tag. So she did. And he added her back. And then they communicated on Facebook for a little bit. And she said, oh, I'm sorry. You seem sweet. I know times get tough. I have a boyfriend. Good luck to you. She also told the cops what happened, and he has now been arrested. He also threw a brick at someone in an unrelated case. That's not funny, but it's kind of
giving
funny.
the lie to what he told her, which was that he wasn't on that kind of time.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
This isn't the real me. I don't normally rob people at gunpoint.
Yeah,
especially not a baddie like you.
Do as I say, not as I do, because what I do is committing armed robbery and having to have the SWAT team called on me. Our other short week winner this month, all the way back from the very beginning of June, the Graduates, a graduating class, high school, over 600 high school seniors at Rich Township High School near Chicago. Well, they ended up with misspelled stoles.
The graduation stoles.
Yeah, the banner that goes around your neck on your cap and gown.
The vendor, Herf Jones, sent over 600 graduation stoles with Graduate printed on them. That's a superfluous T. Maybe that first T is silent.
Everybody needs an editor, folks. Get the copy editors out here to help them out. I'm going to go with the woman being too pretty to rob.
Yes.
That one wins. The other one, very funny, but also, you bump the keyboard, you don't realize it. Mistakes were made. This guy robbed a woman, then asked her to add him on Facebook. Like it was 2011
and
all over
then
again.
Talked openly about the crime that he did on the internet.
Yeah,
don't talk about your crimes on the internet.
Do not ever do that. That's a great tip for everybody. With that, Too Pretty to Rob takes on the Petty Pennies, the auto shop owner who was called out by one of his employees who said, "Hey, man, you owe me $915 in unpaid overtime." The auto shop owner was so PO'd about it, he took 91,500 pennies, a.k.a. $915, covered them in some sort of oil, and then dumped them on this guy's driveway, including a pay stub that had an expletive on it. And he also, by the way, owed $40,000 to other employees in unpaid overtime.
I don't remember seeing this part of the story when I was first introduced to it. This is a story from when I was on vacation.
Yes, Kyle introduced this one to us.
I love the quote from the guy's attorney who says that the conflict does not reflect his client's true character as a businessman. He said, "Unfortunately, emotionally charged decisions can come back and bite you in the rear end." Emotionally charged. Look, there's got to be a point between acquiring 91,500 pennies, coating them in oil, and driving them to an employee's house, writing out the expletive on the pay stub. There has to be a point there where it no longer becomes an emotionally charged decision.
Nope.
Like you can back off of that, right? You can say, "Man, I'm being ridiculous. I don't need to do this. I'm mad at this guy, obviously, but I am taking it way too far." This isn't a snap decision.
No.
You don't just turn around and like reach into your ashtray and come up with 91,500 pennies soaked in some kind of oil and fling them onto somebody's driveway. This was not an emotional decision.
How long would it take to come into contact with 91,500 pennies?
Do you go to the bank and say, "I would like 91,500 pennies"?
No, like they would call the cops on you for that.
No,
just because, like, I can't believe you'd ask me to do that. That's why they'd call the police on you.
How many pennies do you think the average bank keeps?
It can't be $915 worth. There's no way.
I just Googled how many pennies does the bank keep. This was a question on Reddit's "Are No Stupid Questions" board. Is there a limit on how many pennies I get from bank? I need to pay a coworker back and want to be as petty as possible.
I mean, this might be this guy.
It's not. This is from 4 years ago.
Bummer.
Seems like a question you should ask your bank teller, or you might be able to request them to order them for you.
Yeah, it's just it's so intentional.
Can we call a bank right now? Is that a little too gonzo radio? That's not really our thing.
Yeah, we're not quite like Morning Zoo. I don't know. Maybe we'll do some research tomorrow and find out. I've got this one winning this match.
I do too. Yeah, for sure.
We'll do some research.
Yes,
We'll figure this out.
I'll swing by a bank branch and I'll get their thoughts. Just had a question. Please humor me.
I'll turn you into content. All right, so that is finalist number 1, the Petty Pennies. Shout out again to our guy Kyle Manthe for bringing us that story. Semifinal number 2, we've got the stolen backhoe. The guy from Carbondale, Illinois, who had to catch a flight. He just had to get to the airport, and he didn't have any way to get to the airport. So what did he do? He stole a backhoe, just him and his guitar, hopping into the backhoe, driving 20 miles an hour to get to the airport.
The Veterans Airport of Southern Illinois, which flies, actually, they got flights to St. Louis. They got flights to Nashville, to and from St. Louis and Nashville.
Okay.
So obviously he ended up like in out west.
Yeah, he connected all the way to
Portland,
Nevada.
He flew to Portland, Oregon. They caught up with him in Nevada.
Okay, that's the detail.
Lord, he was born a rambling man. But yeah, had to get to his flight, so he just like stole a backhoe, hopped into a backhoe with him and his guitar case and a dream, and maneuvered the backhoe to the airport. So clearly, like, he had enough time to get there on time by driving a backhoe.
You think you could just get a bicycle Call a cab. I'm sure Carbondale has Uber.
He could have
college town.
He could have called, like Yellow Cab, or got an Uber or a Lyft or something like that. Or like maybe he doesn't have any friends in the area, but like I don't know. Like if you had enough time that a backhoe was sufficient to get you there on time to your flight.
Right.
Like you had enough time to maybe think about, do I really want to steal this backhoe?
Oh my God. Absolutely ridiculous. So that is semifinalist number 1 in this matchup. Our other story, our pal, the Box Bandit, guy who robbed a cell phone repair store, broke the glass, took out, how much was it? $18K in merchandise? Something like that.
I think it was $18,000.
Yeah, $18,000 worth of merchandise. And he did it not with a ski mask on, not after obscuring the security cameras. He just had a box on his head.
Yeah, just like a white cardboard box, like something that might be shipped to you in the mail. Had a shipping label on it. Who knows? Did he bring it from home? Did he find it out back? Who can say?
I imagine it was from home. Anyway, at one point, he needed to be able to see. He could not see around the bottom flaps of the box. So he lifted it up. And his face was seen in 4K on the security camera in the phone repair store. He was then caught literally in the exact same shopping center getting drunk with his friends.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was going to celebrate a robbery, that might be what I do too. Just go hang out with the boys.
He does. He just casually brushes it off of his head.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that he's getting all of the merchandise into his bag.
Okay, so it was 15,000. 19 iPhones and 8K in cash.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot. It's a lot of iPhones. That is our second semifinalist here. Dan, who you got?
Boy, this is a tough one. The backhoe thief has a guy stealing a backhoe.
Yeah, and again, that's a good point. He had enough time that driving a backhoe there got him there. Man.
But the other guy tried to disguise himself with a box on his head.
And then didn't even run away. He just lingered and never linger.
They'll never catch me. I had a box on my head.
No, just sit here and get drunk.
They'll never know it was me.
All right. I've been swayed. I'm going to go with the Box Bandit.
Yeah, I think so too.
Or a box on his head, man. This story went semi-viral, by the way. I saw this reported on in a couple different places. America loves the Box Bandit. We do too. That is our second finalist for this month's What Is Wrong With You Championship. We will find our winner between the Box Bandit and the Petty Pennies coming up tomorrow. As always, What Is Wrong With You is brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. Metal cut to order when you need it. That's Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard. Up next, John Sherman spoke to the media this morning. And if you're a Royals fan, you probably didn't love what he had to say. We'll get to it next on 580 Sports Talk.
Thought-provoking.
Final few minutes of this opening hour of 580 Sports Talk. Short show today due to the Royals day game. John Sherman spoke earlier today to the media, mostly about the stadium situation in Kansas City. Said, yes, I'm aware that the team is bad, and I've got empathy for our fans. We have great fans in our community. We need to give them something to cheer about. Talked about how the Reds have really surged this year. The difference being the Reds have a really good farm system, but that's neither here nor there. Also said he has, quote, total confidence in both J.J. Piccolo and Matt Quattrero. I think it's significant to note this is largely an evaluation year. That's what he had to say. Might see some more guys get called up as the season goes on. That's good. That is one of the good things, I think, to take away from this. Then there was a lot of stadium stuff. And frankly, I don't really think much of this was very positive. I don't really feel like this is going in a more positive direction after Sherman spoke today. A couple of notes here said, no one is waiting on us. We are the urgent party. They are asking Jackson County, Missouri to extend its existing 3/8 cent sales tax for a new ballpark district. And he says that the proposal from Clay County, North Kansas City, is more recent, but a serious idea that they are still considering. Polling on prospective stadiums, according to Sherman, positive in both Jackson County and Clay County. Yeah, I'm sure Clay County would love that. There's nothing in Clay County. It's very, very little north of the river in North Kansas City. Here's two other notes that I will get to. One, he says he thinks the Sinclair meltdown with the Diamond Sports Group could be a good thing, and they're trying to make sure that they can still get as much money as they were supposed to be getting with these TV contracts, but the Padres have actually been able to extend their reach. Maybe that's something the Royals could do. But also, hey, a new ballpark district, that's another way to generate some revenue. It's not just the TV money. And then he also, of course, talked about other teams like the Cubs and Astros and Orioles. The difference there is those teams have been competitive in the last 6 years. Also, the other big thing he noted, said he met with Governor Mike Parson of Missouri about state financing. He said the stadium and ballpark district project will be over $2 billion with $1 billion financed privately. And I don't know how good you are at math, Dan, but if it's over $2 billion total and $1 million is going to be privately financed, that means it would be over 50% publicly financed. And if you live in Jackson County, Missouri, let me just tell you, I feel very sorry for you because this is going to happen and it's going to suck for you. And I feel very bad for you. You should not have to foot the bill for this, at least not this big of a bill.
So there's long been a sales tax in Jackson County that goes towards the upkeep for the Truman Sports Complex. That's been in place for a really long time. It's part of the lease agreement, and it has enabled the Royals and the Chiefs to be able to do some pretty substantial renovations to their stadiums. I mean, those are old stadiums, not just like relative to like a human being's age. Like, I'm not talking about that. Like relative to other stadiums, these are older stadiums. And yet you wouldn't know that necessarily if you walked into Kauffman Stadium, you walked into Arrowhead for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Those sales taxes have been really valuable. What John Sherman wants is for the sales tax to continue, but for that money, instead of going to stadium upkeep, going to stadium building, essentially. So at least that's not a brand new tax. At least it's not levying something brand new on a public that may by and large not want that. So there's that, I guess. I don't know. It all feels really unsavory. Like, I understand the K is getting up there in years, and Sherman says they can play there 5 more years.
Mm-hmm.
They intend to play there the next 4 or 5 seasons. And I understand that, there does get a point where like concrete starts to like wear, and it gets hard to stay in the same place. But it still just feels really slimy, like they're playing both Jackson and Clay County against each other and basically saying, all right, which one of you is going to blink first and give the billionaire more money to build their real estate development / baseball stadium there. because that's what you're getting. That's $2 billion. That includes like the ballpark village, if you want to call it. I know that's what they call it in St. Louis. That includes that particular vision for what is going to surround wherever it ends up being built, a new Royals ballpark.
I also think it is relevant to know when the argument eventually is made that ballpark villages are, good for the economy and they bring housing opportunities and all these jobs. Yeah, they bring some jobs. Most of them are, like part-time cashier jobs at quick in and out like Shake Shacks and whatnot, and that kind of place that they put up in these areas. And yeah, there's new housing. Let me tell you a little something about the housing in Wrigleyville, okay? That's not the kind of housing that the people who desperately need housing are moving into. Like, let's not paint this as if it's going to be some sort of great boon for Kansas City. It's going to be people who live in high rises in Power and Light moving to high rises in Kaufmanville. Like, that's what this is going to be.
Yes.
So
correct.
Sherman says Kaufman is not competitive with other ballparks, needs to keep up with MLB standards. This is transcribed by Royals Review. It isn't in the right place for baseball. Stresses they need to make it easy to get in and out of a new ballpark and make it safe. Quote, it's time to leave the K. I don't know, man. It's annoying for us to get to from Topeka or Lawrence or wherever, but like, I thought the park was fine. I was there 2 weekends ago.
Yeah,
totally fine.
Looked pretty fine to me. I'm not inspecting the concrete, though, so maybe I'm wrong.
If you live on the Missouri side of the border, again, I feel very bad for you in the coming years. We've got 1 hour left on 580 Sports Talk, and we'll start that hour with our headlines. Coming up next on 580 WIBW. 1 hour left on this shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk. We are done regular time at 6 o'clock, but we didn't even start until almost 4:30 today because of the Royals' thrilling walk-off win over the Cleveland Guardians to salvage the final game of their series today, sending us into a 3-game weekend set against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Which game are you going to this weekend?
Be going to the Saturday game.
Nice.
Unfortunately, missing Clayton Kershaw's scheduled start by a day. Kershaw goes Sunday for anybody interested in going to see a future Hall of Famer at work.
It's worth it. I have come to understand that even if your team is probably going to lose, going and seeing greatness is absolutely worth it. And even though he is older and pretty close to the end of his career, he is still so freaking good.
Yeah, he's been terrific this year. 10-4 with a 255 earned run average.
He's been one of my favorite players in baseball ever since he broke in, and it is awesome to see him just keep dealing.
Went over 200 career wins this year. 207 and 91 is pretty good. Makes him the active leader in winning percentage.
Insane. That is crazy. Do you know how many times he's lost double-digit games in his career?
Just once.
Yeah. He went 13-10 in 2010, and he still had an ERA under 3. That's crazy. He's only had an ERA above 3, 3 times in his whole career.
Yeah, once was his rookie year.
He's one of the all-time greats.
3 Cy Youngs, an MVP, 5 ERA titles, 3 strikeout titles, 3 times leading the league in wins. Yeah, there are not too many left like him.
9-time All-Star.
Go see him when you get a chance.
Yeah.
I bet there are a lot of Dodger fans that come out to the K this weekend.
Gonna be a lot of blue.
There will be a lot of blue. It'll be hard to tell who's who.
Yeah, so that's a positive. Yeah, I'm looking right now at Kershaw's Hall of Fame statistics section on his baseball reference page. The average Hall of Famer in the black ink, the gray ink, the various standards for the Hall of Fame, he's blowing by all of them. The Hall of Fame monitor metric, he's more than double what the likely Hall of Famer number is. I mean, he's just incredible. So yeah, if you get a chance to go out to a game this weekend, you'll get to see probably one team play some good baseball. And especially Sunday, you get to go see Clayton Kershaw because, I don't know, 1 year left? 2? Maybe done it for this year?
I don't know what's on his contract.
He's been flirting with hanging it up for a little while, I think.
Yeah, he has. He's talked about, kind of openly wondered, like, how much longer am I going to do this? But
he's a free agent after this.
Yeah, he's been on 1-year deals, I think, for the last 2 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they keep winning and he keeps dealing, maybe he keeps going a little bit longer. But no, go enjoy the greatness while you can. Speaking of, after we get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines, an interesting thought about how much it would cost to go see Lionel Messi play soccer. Or football, if you will.
He's coming to America, as you may be aware. And now they're starting to sell tickets for the games that it sounds like he's going to play in. And you would not believe the get-in to see 35-year-old Lionel Messi play soccer.
It is not attainable for the majority of us. I will tell you that much right now. So we'll get to that. Plus, we'll give you a little preview of Kelsey and Mahomes versus the Splash Brothers in the match tonight. Have you seen the outfits?
What would you call that pattern that Travis Kelce is wearing? The best way I can describe it is like blanket your grandmother made you.
Yeah, that's actually fairly accurate. I just had the picture up and I lost it. So he's wearing a vest, like a Nike vest that looks like a sweater. And then he's also wearing sweater-like shorts. I mean, it's very odd.
Yeah, the shorts look like his sweater. And it might be the same.
It's like cable knit with design in it. He's got a t-shirt under the sweater.
It might be wool.
It might be. Steph Curry looks like a nerd. Steph Curry looks like he's going to get shoved in a locker.
No, yeah, I've seen the picture. He's got the I threw up stance going.
Yeah, like shoulder width apart, feet. He looks a little nervous.
Hands kind of to the side. Yeah, big I threw up energy from that pose.
He's got the polo like really tucked into the shorts. It's like all the way tucked in. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm taking the Chiefs in the. Although Steph's a good golfer.
Why are there so many buttons on Kelsey's shorts?
I don't know, man. I don't get
6
fashion.
buttons on the front of each leg.
I have said many times I do not understand fashion. Like, I just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely do not understand what Travis Kelce is doing.
I am just dismayed, and I am typically behind the fashion trends as it is, but I am fairly dismayed that now everyone has decided that shorts above the knee are the way to go. Like, that's
I mean, that's what I'm wearing.
I don't really do like a lot of mine cut it real close.
I remember growing up, basketball shorts were big.
Yes.
And
I miss those days.
Big in terms of they were super popular, and big as in terms of like Jason Terry was wearing shorts that met with his socks down his shin.
Correct.
And
they were like warm-up pants.
I had a million of long, mostly from Kohl's, long basketball shorts. And I, being a tall, skinny person, liked wearing them because I felt weird when my big, skinny toothpick legs were mostly barren. And then I wore them well beyond when those were cool. And then suddenly I thought, okay, well, I should probably dress like other people and not really feel like a nerd here. I really shouldn't like broadcast how nerdy I am. But yeah, I loved that era where I didn't have to have all this exposed. I got a lot of leg.
Yeah, most of because I usually I will go home and put on a pair of basketball shorts and lounge around the house.
Yeah.
So I got a ton of pairs of them. And most of them now are, they come like right to the knee or a shade above. And I've come to accept that. But like my golf shorts, Mahomes' golf shorts appear to be shorter than any one pair of golf shorts that I have. Not like alarmingly or like scandalously short, mind you. Just, comfortably above the knee.
So we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on.
This has been Talking Fashion.
Yeah, Talking Fashion. 580 Fashion Talk here on 580 WIBW. We're still taking your texts. You know the text line number, 785-272-9429. Our YouTube channel is called Sports on 580 WIBW. Just head to YouTube, search Sports on 580, and that is the easiest way to find us on YouTube. Let's get into it with our 580 Sports Talk headlines. The biggest one of the day, the 24th perfect game in Major League Baseball history was pitched last night by Domingo Germán of the New York Yankees, shutting out, no-hitting, perfectoing the Oakland A's, who were just so sad. And I didn't watch most of the game because I had other stuff going on, but I tuned in for the 9th inning. And so I had no idea what the batting order was for the A's last night. Final batter comes up 98 pitches into the game, and I saw it was Esteury Ruiz, and I thought, well, congrats to Domingo Germán on his perfect game, because he is not going to get a hit.
They made the final 3 outs of the game on 3 pitches. Like,
Terrible.
They looked like you would think that professional pride enters the equation, and I'm sure it does for a lot of these guys, even for a team like the A's, who are the worst team in baseball. But they definitely played the final 6 innings or final 6 outs. Like, they just want to get out.
Yeah.
Like, they just want to be done. They just want to go home and stop playing baseball for the night. Not a lot of drama, not a lot of buildup.
No, which is just sad, really, more than anything. Domingo Germán is an extremely easy person to root against. He has gotten in trouble before for hitting his then girlfriend in public and then allegedly menacing her at their home afterwards.
Served the longest domestic violence suspension handed out by Major League Baseball to a player who was not otherwise charged with domestic violence. So clearly it happened at not a team function, but it was a function hosted by CC Sabathia while he was a Yankee. So essentially a team function.
A lot of team personnel.
A really bad deal. Now, Germán has addressed this not in great detail, talking about what happened that night, but has said that after he was suspended, and while he was suspended, he was on administrative leave. He couldn't even be with the team. So he has talked about having to undergo treatment for alcoholism, and is now married to the woman in question. Okay. They've added to their family. So again, does not excuse the behavior, does not excuse the suspension. People are the sum of all of the things that they do. But yes, it's it's certainly a blight on his career and personal resume, a stain on the resume that I will say that longest domestic violence suspension served is probably not something most players would want on their career epitaph.
No, and I want to make this clear. That does not change the fact that this is one of the greatest pitched games in baseball history. That does not change that. Like, to throw a perfect game in 99 pitches is outrageous, even against a team as terrible as the A's.
It's not just that. He was also suspended earlier this year for the sticky stuff.
I was just about to get to that.
Yeah.
He served the mandatory 10-game suspension because I think he claimed it was just sunscreen and rosin.
Yeah, sunscreen and rosin. But
the umpire who threw him out said it was the stickiest he had ever seen a player's hand before.
Yeah.
So that part, in terms of the actual baseball quality,
also
feels wrong.
Also, he's having a miserable year. In his previous start, he allowed 10 earned runs and left the game before the end of the fourth inning. There's a very real chance that, like, next week he wasn't going to be a member of the Yankees rotation. So he was very much pitching for a job last night, pitching for his place in the rotation, and it looks like he made a pretty good case. Struck out 9. Again, like you said, not just the complete game, perfect game, but to do it in under 100 pitches. They call that a Maddox in honor of Greg Maddox. He used to pitch complete games in under 100 pitches all the time. It's a remarkably impressive feat of pitching. But I think it throws, like, particularly when you consider not just the on the field escapades, but the off the field stuff as well. The thing that makes the perfect game so special, besides its rarity, is the fact that these are imperfect men that pitch these games, sometimes in a much more grave sense than others. But you look at the collection of pitchers, of the 24 men who have thrown perfect games in Major League Baseball, you've got a whole constellation of names, some of whom are headed to Cooperstown someday or made it to Cooperstown, some of whom had to buy a ticket to get into the Hall of Fame. Guys who had career losing records, guys who never did anything of note afterward and are selling real estate in Texas, Philip Umber. One of the most beloved players in the history of the Seattle Mariners franchise, Felix Hernandez. Tom Browning, the late Tom Browning for the Reds, who was just kind of a guy, like a 500 pitcher his whole career. David Wells, who had a nice little run. David Cohn was a really good pitcher for a long time. Don Larson, just a guy, did it in the World Series. So it just goes to show that it is not the exclusive domain of the elite to do something like this. What makes it such a special feat is that you never know. It could be anybody on any given night in front of any given crowd in any given ballpark. Somebody, an imperfect man, an imperfect pitcher could be perfect for 27 outs. And that's what we saw last night.
We all know the Nolan Ryan stat: 7 no-hitters, no perfect games.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're great doesn't mean you are perfect, and just because you're not great doesn't mean you cannot be perfect on one given night. Can you name all the perfect games of your lifetime?
I think I can.
You were born in 86?
I was born in 86. I think I can get close.
Okay.
Trying to work in reverse chronological order here. Obviously, you had Domingo Germán last night. Before that, you had Felix Hernandez.
That was the last one.
Philip Umber. You had Matt Cain. Let me see.
They pitched theirs just less than 2 months apart, by the way.
And then we didn't have one for 11 years.
Yeah.
I mentioned David Cohn and David Wells already. So that gives me 6. How many in my lifetime? How many am I missing?
So we have, how many are you missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So, okay, I'm less than half. Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers
Texas
is on
Rangers.
there, yes.
Great catch by Rusty Greer to preserve it late in the game. Dennis Martinez.
Yep.
For the Expos. El Presidente, El Perfecto was the radio broadcast
Great call
of that one. So I got 8. Mike Witt had to have been in my lifetime.
No. Mike Witt was just before you were born. September 30th, 1984.
2 years. Yeah, 2 years before I was born. Tom Brownings must have been in my lifetime.
That was 1988.
Okay, so Tom Brownings, that gives me 9. So I've got 4 left that I'm missing.
Yes, 4 in a row, in fact.
4 in a row. So they must be between, are they between Rogers and Wells?
They are, no, actually, well after that.
Okay, so they're in the 2000s.
Yes,
Okay.
all in the 2000s.
So they're between Cone and Kane?
Between Cone and Umber.
Between Cone and Umber. Yeah, it was Umber first, then Kane, then Felix.
Mhm.
So they all happened in the 2000s. Dallas Braden.
Dallas Braden did it for the A's in 2010.
Mm-hmm. That's 10. And then there are 3 more, and I don't know that I'm going to get them. Roy Halladay.
Roy Halladay 20 days later in 2010.
Okay, so then there are 2 more.
2 more.
Between...
These are my personal 2 favorites.
No. Mark Burley.
Mark Burley did it, 2009.
Mark Burley in 09. Burley!
Yeah, it was, we're just away from the anniversary of it. Less than a month from the anniversary of it, in fact.
Yeah, Mark Burley in 09, and... Jake Arrieta just threw a no-hitter, right?
Yes, he threw 2 no-nos.
And that would have been later on anyhow.
Yes.
Oh, man.
This pitcher threw the 3rd most strikeouts in a perfect game with 13.
Wasn't Kershaw, was it?
It was not Clayton Kershaw.
No.
He does not have a perfect game.
No, he no-hit the Rockies on, like, he walked a guy, but
Lefty. A large lefty.
Oh, big unit.
Big unit. May 18th,
yeah,
2004.
the Braves in 04. Yep. Robbie Hammock was his catcher. I remember it now. Yep.
Yeah.
Robbie Hammock came out like jumping up and down like a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And Randy Johnson's like, what's the big deal, guys?
Whatever, dude. Yeah.
Like, I think they won 51 games that year. He wasn't really in the mood to do a lot of celebrating in 2004. I can't believe I forgot the big unit. Probably the best pitcher in that list.
By the way,
it's not bad. Not a bad performance.
No, quite good. The most strikeouts in a perfect game, by the way, Koufax as well as Matt Cain had 14 each.
Man, really? Felix didn't get that? Felix had like 12.
Felix had 12.
Yeah, his. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Domingo Brown, 24th perfect game in MLB history last night.
Great point from the text line 785. Somebody for the Royals recently had 6 perfect games, got demoted a week later. I've literally already forgotten his name. Like that just goes to show, like, it can be anybody who can string it together. Yeah, any given day. It can be Randy Johnson or it can be Philip Umber.
It's what Tim Kirkchin always says. You watch baseball because every single game you watch, you could see something you've never seen before.
That is the truth. Next headline for me, our 580 Sports Talk headlines. The NFL has suspended 4 players for gambling violations, including 3 who have been suspended indefinitely, a term of no fewer than 1 season. Suspended by the league for betting on NFL games. Those 3 players, and you may want to sit down for these names. They're the headline names.
Oh, yeah.
Former Indianapolis Colts, Isaiah Rodgers and Rashad Berry.
Former because they got cut today.
Yes, former being the operative word there. And free agent Demetrius Taylor, who you could have made up on the spot, and I wouldn't have known the difference.
He played 1 game as a UDFA for the Lions last year. Apparently the Lions were like sharing their parlays or whatever in the locker room because a bunch of Lions.
The Lions and the Colts have like a gambling club going, both locker rooms. In addition to those 3 who have been again suspended for a term no fewer than 1 full season, Tennessee Titans offensive tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere has been suspended 6 games for betting on other sports at the workplace.
Just do it at home.
Man, is it a silly rule? Sure, it's a silly rule that you can't log on to your favorite sports betting app and place a bet on like Dinger Tuesday on FanDuel or something because you're at the team facility. Like, it is a little silly, but it is also the rule, and they go over it with you. And I'm sure it's posted somewhere in the locker room. Just follow the rule. And definitely don't gamble on the league. Sources familiar with the activity on the online sportsbook account used by Rodgers told ESPN on Thursday that upward of 100 bets were placed, including one wager on a game, at least one wager on a game involving the Colts. A source told ESPN that friends of Rodgers encouraged him to place many of the wagers, the majority of which were in the $25 to $50 range. The largest wager placed through the account was a $1,000 prop bet on the over-under on rushing yards by a Colts running back, which won. And that's why you can't have this.
Yep.
Because it's one thing to be the only guy who bets on a game and you bet on your team. People say, well, what's so wrong with betting on your team to win? Like, what's so wrong with that? What's so wrong with betting on your team to win a game? The problem, the reason you can't have it is because do you not think that Isaiah Rodgers maybe had some inside information on like who was going to get to play, who was going to get a share of the carries,
what the game plan might look like,
whether maybe somebody was working through an injury and not looking 100%, having to get a lot of treatment in the locker room?
Yep.
Like, that's why you can't have this, man. You are privy to so much inside information that can swing a bet. Like, you can't have it. You can't have it.
And this has to be it for Isaiah Rodgers. And he was their best corner last year. He was going to play a big time role in that defense going forward. I mean, this has to be it for him. If you're betting on your own team, you're betting on like prop bets specifically. That is like inherent knowledge, or intentional, inherent, classified knowledge about what a game plan could look like, about how much a guy is going to be used, if a guy is injured, whatever. You just can't have that. And that should probably be it for his career. I wouldn't be surprised if the other two get reinstated after a year, although, like, who's going to sign a guy who was a one-game player as a UDFA, got cut, and then got suspended for a year? Like, I can't imagine Demetrius Taylor coming back from that, but I have a hard time seeing Isaiah Rodgers playing in the NFL again.
Better learn Canadian, buddy.
Oh, yeah. CFL, XFL. Well, maybe not the XFL because they partner with the NFL.
Yeah.
But congrats to the newest Pittsburgh Maulers defensive back, Isaiah Rodgers. Sticking with the NFL for my next headline today, can I interest you in J.J. Watt on TV?
Maybe.
He has joined CBS. You heard this, surprisingly, during our top of the hour national news from CBS, that J.J. Watt is going to do a limited schedule of games for CBS coming up this year. Watt said in a quote today, "I love the game too much to be away from it entirely. I'm very excited to be joining CBS Sports to contribute across all their NFL shows and platforms, including working alongside and learning from JB, Coach Boomer, Phil, and Nate this fall. Hopefully fans will enjoy the insights and knowledge I've gained over my 12 years in the NFL. And if we're lucky, we'll share a few laughs along the way as well." So for a few weeks this year, he's going to be part of the CBS weekly broadcast. I will say this. It cannot be worse by putting J.J. Watt in studio for CBS Sports, because their NFL studio show is the worst in the business. It is so bad. Like if I'm going to watch the Chiefs at noon, doesn't happen all that often, I will
never.
And
once a year now.
Like unless they're playing at the same time as the Packers, the Chiefs are always on the main screen. They always go on screen number 1 at Shea Dworzynski. If they are on CBS at noon, I will watch the Fox pregame all the way up until kickoff and then switch to CBS. I cannot do it. Like, I cannot do more Bill Cowher. I cannot do more Phil Simms. I can't. It is so bad. So if you're J.J. Watt, you literally can't make it worse, which is probably a comfortable place to be. He has been very busy, by the way, during retirement for these first couple of months.
It's interesting at the very least with CBS, because they got Nate Burleson in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're adding J.J. Watt. At the very least, there is a presence on their pregame show of guys who played in the league recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important to offer the perspective of the modern NFL player, because Fox is not giving you that.
No.
Like the other network pregame show is not giving you that. It's the same crew. It's Jerry and Jimmy and Howie. And I mean, Michael Strahan's been retired 15 years now. Like,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. That's like,
my wife did not know he played in the NFL.
Word? You're kidding.
No, I'm serious. I don't remember how early it was this past season.
I wonder how common that is.
I'm
He's
sure
been on TV a long time.
Crazy common. I'm sure 15 years ago, people who are, 15 to 20 probably have no idea that he was one of the best defensive players of his era and used to own the single season sack record all on his own.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it came up, and I don't know. I might have said something. I think he was doing an interview on Good Morning America, and there was an ad for it. And I said, man, it is crazy how that guy went from being a great defensive player to being inescapable on TV. And she's like, he played in the NFL? Like, what do you mean, did he play in the NFL? Of course it's Michael Strahan. And she was like, I had no idea. I had no clue he played for the Giants.
That could have been you, Tiki Barber.
Yeah, it could have been. Tiki Barber, all-time fumbled the bag guy.
Oh, absolutely.
By being, a creep.
Yeah, all you had to do was not creep around on your pregnant wife with a 20-year-old intern. That's all you had to do. And that would be him. It would be Tiki all over your TV.
Fox definitely steers into the you're going to watch us because you're comfortable, because you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get the same Terry Bradshaw you've gotten since 1988.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get the same Michael Strahan you've gotten for 15 years, Howie Long for 20-something years, etc. I do not know anyone who watches the ESPN pregame. I do not know a single person who says, I'm going to watch Sam Ponder, Randy Moss, and Rex Ryan on Sunday morning.
I can't stand like the pregame NFL stuff. Just give me give me to the games. Like, I want to watch the games. I don't need to watch the pregame stuff. That being said, if I ever have a pregame on, it is the ESPN.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But not like as I love this.
Right.
It's more of I can tolerate this.
I was watching ESPN last night before I went to bed, watching a college game, and it's on. I've definitely had that happen before. The NFL Network one is good because they actually talk about the games more.
Yeah, I should endeavor to make that the default instead of the ESPN one. Not a lot of support for the CBS pregame in the YouTube comments. Phil Simms has a punchable face, says Vance.
Also, Mark says, I can't stand Boomer Esiason. He sucks. No, I agree with you guys. I cannot do CBS.
Wow. It's like a conversation between two New York sports fans at the bar circa like 1992.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, man, that is great. Any other headlines for you?
Yeah, one quick one from the NBA. Free agency opens tomorrow, and it's going to be a wild day in the National Basketball Association. You're going to see #ThisLeague all over the place. One significant domino appears to be ready to fall this offseason as Philadelphia 76ers guard James Harden has chosen to exercise his $35.5 million player option for the upcoming season. Wow, that's great news for the 76ers, except for this. He wants out. And the 76ers are going to accommodate Harden's trade request.
Now, are they going to accommodate him in we will send you to the Rockets where you might want to go, or the Clippers where you might want to go, or we're going to send you to the Shanghai Sharks?
Here's the thing. 33-year-old James Harden, is he moving the needle? Is he making you a championship contender anymore?
Not nearly as much as he once did. I could see it if you thought he was the last piece, which I think is what Philly thought he was going to be.
Mm-hmm. He was going to be the guy that you could pair with Joel Embiid and make it happen.
Because he can still distribute really well. He can still get you probably 15 a game.
Good shooter.
If he's your third best player and you said we need a point guard and that we need a creator,
but
he's going to get us there.
Ball dominant.
Yeah, that's true.
Always just defaults to being ball dominant. He's never going to be your third banana. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You are going to do the James Harden stuff if you have James Harden on your team. You might think it's going to be one way, but it's always the other way with James Harden. And so I can't imagine teams that aren't also broken and dysfunctional in their own ways and hell-bent on star power as the way to win a championship. Even though, did y'all see who just won the championship and how they went about building their team and how important continuity was to the team that just won the championship? It was the Denver Nuggets, by the way. Did y'all remember that? The Denver Nuggets, they won the NBA championship this year. That was pretty cool. Anyhow, acquiring James Harden just stands as the polar opposite of how the reigning champions have gone about their business. So this definitely seems like a Clippers or a Knicks kind of thing. I don't know why you'd want to bring him to Houston. I know he probably wants to go to Houston, but Houston's got a bunch of young guys.
Yeah.
They're light years away from being good again. And James Harden doesn't change that, but I know he loves the strip club scene there. So maybe that's where he ends up. I don't know. I just think that it is very funny also that the 76ers have said they will be pursuing players who will fit together well with Joel Embiid. And what I hope you mean is they'll play all the games he misses because he's hurt, and they'll play all the games he no-shows in the second round of playoffs.
I was going to say, though, rumor I've seen on Twitter is largely that the Clippers are deeply involved here. James Harden, probably Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, okay, sick. That team loses in 5 games to the Nuggets in the Western Conference
They're going to play 15 games together.
Yeah,
Kawhi Leonard is a broken man.
Yeah, that does nothing for me. It really doesn't. That does it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll get to more of that coming up on tomorrow's show as the news continues to break. Right now, after this commercial break, how much money would you spend to go see Lionel Messi? Whatever your number is, it is probably too low if you actually want to go see him. We'll talk about that next on 580 Sports Talk.
Don't
and Dan here with you on 580 Sports Talk. Short show today. Coming up tomorrow, we've got a full show for you, 3 until 6. Matt Derrick will stop by. We'll also chat with Rick Peterson a day later than normal. Pistol inducted into the Shawnee County Sports Hall of Fame last night. That was awesome to see. So we'll talk to Pistol all about that and the big postseason news from Keisha this week as well that we talked about on yesterday's show. Lionel Messi is coming to America, as Dan mentioned to us earlier. And earlier today, tickets went on sale for what is expected to be his first game with an American club. He's playing for Inter Miami, which is an MLS team. They will be participating in, I believe this is a CONCACAF event, the Leagues Cup.
Yes.
CONCACAF, the governing body for...
Actually, this might be the joint venture between Liga MX and the MLS.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what this is.
All right. So it's going to be an international match. They'll be taking on Cruz Azul from Mexico on July 21st. Right now on Ticketmaster, the prices to get in include as high as $380 to sit in the very corner of the stadium. Is this in Miami?
Yes.
Okay.
It is called Drive Pink Stadium, as in DRVPNK Stadium.
Wow, that's dumb.
Drive Pink.
Drive Pink. What do we know what Drive Pink is?
No.
I would love to.
It's Auto Nation's breast cancer awareness campaign.
Oh, okay. Well, sure, I guess.
Auto Nation is based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
That makes more sense. If you want to sit field side, you want to sit right on the pitch, how about $10,000? $10,000 to see Lionel Messi play, probably, in all likelihood. Can you imagine if you spent $10,000 to sit near the field and he didn't end up playing in that game? I would walk into the ocean with concrete shoes.
No, I'd run around on the field till they gave me a refund. I'd take the ball.
Yeah, scoop it up. But I mean, you'd probably get some hooligan activity. Like, you probably get back in the crowd and have them help you out.
So Drive Pink Stadium seats 18,000. So obviously, like, there's a scarcity effect here.
Mm-hmm.
Compare that to if you wanted to see Lionel Messi play a home game, say at one of his old clubs, Barcelona. Capacity for the new camp is 99,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is large.
If you wanted to see him play at his most recent European club, Paris Saint-Germain, the Parc des Princes was a stadium with a capacity of 47,900.
So obviously there's going to be a lot of demand here. And you said this a while back, but you would imagine some of these teams that they are going to visit are going to have to play in a bigger stadium.
They might have to look at like moving to like playing at the local NFL stadium if they're not already. Like, I don't know what the Inter Miami schedule looks like from this point forward in the MLS season. I do know they do not come to Kansas City, which is kind of a bummer.
Lucky you, I have the schedule in front of me right now. They play Charlotte, for example, on August 20th.
Charlotte, I think, plays, and I'll pull up a list here, but I think Charlotte plays at Bank of America Stadium.
Do they? Okay, well, perfect. Good fit for them. Like, I don't know where Nashville plays. Do they play at
Nashville?
What is it, Nissan Stadium?
I think they might, actually. What are they then? Nashville something? Nashville SC? Yeah. No, they actually play. They have a purpose-built Geodis Park, it's called, but it seats 30,000.
Okay. You could also probably move that to Nissan Stadium and fill the entire thing 70,000 strong easily.
Yes, you could.
After that, it gets a little bit more difficult because you actually start playing NFL games at the same time. Like, they play against New York City, NYCFC on September 30th. That's a Saturday. There might be NFL games at MetLife the next day.
But there are not NFL games at Yankee Stadium, which is where NYCFC plays their home games. So you can get 47,000 in there.
They play at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah. The aesthetics of it are terrible.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it's appalling. What? They put up a championship banner. NYCFC won the MLS Cup a couple of years ago. They put up a championship banner, and it's like the size of an index card.
That's terrible, man. Why Yankee Stadium? Is there not anywhere better that they could play in New York?
Well, they're not playing at Red Bull Stadium.
I am severely against playing like rectangular field sports at baseball stadiums.
Yeah, the aesthetics of it are bad.
Even the Winter Classic, I think, has jumped the shark at baseball stadiums. I know
I disagree with that.
I know it's cool and unique, but
I still think that's cool. Maybe I'll feel the same way in a couple of years. I'll give it time, but I still think that's cool.
How much would you spend to go see him play?
How much do I spend to go see Messi?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd go up to 300.
I would. I mean, I'm not a soccer guy,
maybe
though.
150, 200. Like if he were coming to, like if I get a seat for that much at like Children's Mercy,
yeah,
okay. But yeah, I don't know. Like obviously he's a genius at his sport, and he's one of the greatest athletes of all time, like period. But I'm not such a soccer fan that it would be like I've got to see this demigod in person.
Yeah, that's fair. That's entirely fair. They're going to sell out. Someone's going to spend the money for these.
When was the last time you bought a ticket to a game specifically to see one player?
Ooh, specifically to see one player. I went, this is several years ago now, I went to a Royals-Angels game to see Trout several years ago. I've always been a Trout guy. Yeah, what year would that have been? 19, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Might have been 19.
I've been credentialed for a couple of Royals games, like when the Yankees were in town. I'd never seen the Yankees in person. That was like Judge and Stanton and those guys. And I went early to watch them take batting practice. I didn't pay for that, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, that's probably the last one I did several years ago. I wanted to see Mike Trout. Anytime the Angels are in town, I want to go see them.
Me and my buddies in college, it was winter break, and we drove through a snowstorm to what was then called the Pepsi Center in Denver to see Allen Iverson's first game as a Denver Nugget.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And we were interviewed. We were sitting in the upper deck. It was not a huge crowd that night because, again, massive snowstorm. Iverson barely got to the arena and ended up playing off the bench that night. But we were sitting in the upper deck, and a reporter from the Denver Post interviewed me and my two buddies. And my quote was the pull quote on 1A.
There you go.
It wasn't anything cool. It was lame. It was probably like, I'm going to cherish this ticket stub forever. Could I tell you where it is right now? No, I could not. That was a lie. I lied to the people that read the Denver Post the next morning. I apologize for that.
Coming up later on tonight. In fact, it's about to start, isn't it, the match?
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it is just about to start or is just getting underway now. Who you got? Mahomes and Kelsey or the Splash Brothers? We'll pick next on 580 Sports Talk.
Attention, Kansas parents.
Things up on 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Brendan and Dan here with you. We've got some early audio from Travis Kelce at the match that I think you're going to want to hear. By the way, he took the vest off. He's just got a golf shirt on now over these ridiculous sweater-like shorts. Here's Travis Kelce.
I'm just a natural sweater already, so it's not going to affect me too bad. I'm not sure if I'm sweating from the sun or from Encore Beach Club last night, so we'll figure it out. The temperature's hot, so the heat is already brought.
All right, so how many beers in the cart today?
There's going to be plethora of beers. We're not going to throw a number count on it. There's also going to be Casa Azules, baby.
Nice,
Don't forget your
nice.
tequila seltzer.
So, yeah, that's what you can expect tonight if you're going to watch the match with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
Was he running game at Catherine Tappan there?
I think he might have been.
He is newly single. So, yes, another detail from the Vanity Fair profile that we didn't get to yesterday.
Is this the same woman who called him out for being cheap, or was this a different woman?
I don't know.
It might have been a different ex who said that he essentially gave her an allowance because he didn't want her to take all of his money. Like, look, you should be nice to your partner, but I kind of get it. Like, I earned this money. I sort of get it. Who you got tonight?
I think it's going to be the Splash Brothers.
Is Clay any good?
Clay has had a lesson, which is not the case for either Mahomes or Kelce. And Steph Curry's the best golfer in the group. I mean, he's a plus handicap. Like, he can really play.
Yeah.
And I think that they are going to be wired to win a little better than Mahomes and Kelce are just going to go out there and yuck it up and have a good time. I don't think they really care to win if they don't. But, like, Steph is really good.
Yeah.
In a way that, like, Mahomes is probably a single-digit handicap. Kelsey's hit it off the planet.
Yeah.
I don't know that he can really play that well. But,
no, I have no idea.
No, they're out there to have a good time. You ever watch that Holy Moly with Steph Curry?
No, I've never watched it. And I always tell my wife when we see ads for it, like, we should watch. And she's not very interested.
It's genuinely amusing. Like, not because of Steph Curry. Like, he's not the funny part of the show. But, like, Rob Riggle and Joe Tessitore sell the hell out of Holy Moly.
I believe it.
And every now and again, you just like seeing somebody get caught by a giant mini golf windmill and thrown into a pit of foam.
It's like the appeal of Wipeout, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that like Wipeout with mini golf?
Yes, it's mini. Yeah, precisely.
I mean, I would take that. By the way, to the question from last segment, Vance on YouTube says the last time he bought a ticket to see one player was to watch Tom Watson in the 2006 Senior PGA Open down in Hutch. What's the name of the course down there?
Prairie Dunes.
Prairie Dunes. It's one of the best courses in America, isn't it?
It's a really good course.
Jake loves to tell me that, how it's so great, and Prairie Dunes is a big deal. I always tell him I take his word for it. I'm sure it is a very nice course. Yeah, I've never been to a golf event. I've never seen it in person.
I haven't been to that course. I went to Pro-Am Day at the old Sprint International up at Castle Pines in south of Denver when I was in high school. Went out with my grandpa one day and watched the Pro-Am.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see. It was really cool to watch them on the driving range hit the ball so far. And I mean, this is like they all hit it even farther now.
Well, yeah.
But even then, like to see how far those guys could hit a golf ball then with like 2003 technology.
Do you ever hit the driving range, or do you just play? Like, if you're going to go golf, you're going to go play.
I'm going to play with my dad when he comes to town this weekend twice, and I haven't been to the driving range in a minute. So I was planning to go today, but the weather kind of scotched that. So we'll see if I get a chance to run by there, take a little executive lunch, and get a small bucket somewhere and get loose.
Does he play a lot?
Who?
Your dad?
Yeah, he plays quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to lose then?
Probably.
Okay. Well, no, it's good to know.
No, he'll probably get me. I'll be fortunate if I can break 90 tomorrow or Sunday, Monday.
I'd be fortunate to break 190, so that's fine by me. We've got one more break to get to. We'll finish things up with the final word next.
Are you?
up on a shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk with a final word.
Big shout out to Freddie Fermin, game-winning 2-run double in extras to snap the 3-game losing skid for the Royals and end that 3-game series with the Guardians on a high note. Fermin was never really considered a top prospect. He's just kind of hung around and made his way to the major leagues. And he's swinging a good stick for the Royals as their backup to Salvador Perez. And it's always fun to see guys like that succeed, even if it isn't forever, even if it's just a hot couple of months and this is the best it ever gets for Freddie Fermin, then he'll have today. And no one will ever be able to take that away from him. A pretty cool moment.
Most guys don't get that. Most guys don't get to say I had a walk-off hit in the major league, so that's pretty darn cool for Freddie Fermin. Final word for me, I don't really know what I expected in full from John Sherman. Certainly nothing all rosy and good, but I don't feel great about the whole stadium situation after today. Yeah, could the K get a little bit of a facelift? Sure. Is it as dire as he makes it out to be? No, I don't think so. And if you are in Jackson County or possibly Clay County, Missouri, you probably think, nah, stay at the K for another 25 years. So I don't have to deal with the tax money I'm going to be pumping into a new stadium here in the near future in all likelihood. That does it, though, for this shortened Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. The two of us are back tomorrow from 3 until 6. We'll talk to Rick Peterson. We'll talk to Matt Derrick. We'll get you ready for Royals and Dodgers this weekend. That's all tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Dan Lucero, I'm Brendan Dworzinski. This is 580 Sports Talk.